Good morning or good night, Gacha Kingdom. Today is the final Friday of Pride Month, and even though we are going to be saying goodbye to June very soon, that does not mean that Pride Month is over. If you really think about it, every single month is Pride Month, no matter what anybody will tell you. So you do you, boo. Just remember, November is where we can bust out the boy toys and nobody will judge us. Just, we have to get to November first. Or some of you, it's actually December. Destroyed December, but I celebrate nutting November. I don't celebrate no nut November. That's crazy. Okay, so I thought that today's video protagonist was going to be Camille or Knight's Enfield, but he actually isn't out as I'm recording this video. He's going to be out the day of this video going live. So right now, as you're watching this video, I'm probably trying to convince him to come home early and like 10,000 times in one tempo. Please, Camille, please, 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 please. So today's video protagonists are going to be Wise Zenless Zone Zero and Lighter Zenless Zone Zero, also popularly shipped as lighterwise. Also, apparently this week was lighterwise week. I don't know who coined the last full week of June as lighterwise week, but I know who you are. Cash Money Lore Drop. The Gacha Kingdom community was actually built on the premise of lighterwise. It was mostly built on Wise being gay, but lighterwise is one of my favorite ships in Zenless Zone Zero. Well, I mean, except for Lycaon and me, but you know. So I think a good amount of you already have the prior knowledge of why lighterwise is such a good relationship and the best relationship in Zenless Zone Zero, non-biased opinion. But if you don't know that information, well, I hope you're sitting down, or if you're standing up, I better hope that you have headphones on, because I'm about to hit you just like Busta Rhymes. For me, lighterwise is built on the foundation that Lighter and Wise both are able to trauma bond both together similarly and also look towards the future and have a very similar outlooks onto like what the future holds and also like destiny and all that Kafka, Hawkeye, Star ass aha shit. And we could deduce this headcanon because of Lighter's lore, where he used to be the leader of a mercenary group of 4, himself and 3 other people. However, due to poor judgment and leadership at the time, they went out and did a mission and it ended up failing, and he was the only sole survivor of that mission. Instead of joining his teammates and going to sleep, he decided that wouldn't have changed anything. So instead, he decided to take out a humongous, massive ass Denny loan to support the families of his 3 dead teammates, because he was also very close with the families of his teammates. That is also how we get his underground fighting boxing ring arc, where he would quote work to pay off that debt. After doing all this fighting and shit, assuring a winning 50-50s came into Lighter's life when Big Daddy, the then leader of the Sons of Calydon, came in and paid off all of Lighter's debt so that he could have a high-profile fighter on the Sons of Calydon. All that background lore leads us to today Lighter, who wants to protect all of Sons of Calydon because he considers everybody in the Sons of Calydon his closest friends, and he doesn't want to lose any more of his friends. On the bottom side of this relationship is Wise. We don't know as much background lore on Wise because Wise and Belle's background is integral to Zenless Zone's main story, and Zenless Zone's main story is currently going at a fucking snail's pace. What we do know is that Wise is the older brother, and as the older brother, he wants to protect Belle no matter what, and he does not want Belle to get hurt physically and also any more mentally, because both of them already have gone through the ringer with them being in the middle of the damn Helios Academy Hollow Zero blast, and then losing their essential mom, and then their mom being blamed for Hollow Zero in the first place, and all this shit with their implants, and possibly that Belle might be in danger because of those implants, and I can't do anything because I'm just second assistant and my implants are not as good as Belle's. But as the older brother, what I can do is look towards the future and try to help her as much as possible and protect her as best as possible. This is why Lighterwise is such a good relationship, because as I said earlier, Lighterwise has the same outlook into the future. Kafka, Destiny, aha ass shit, where they both want to protect the people that they care dear for. In this case, Lighter is his found family of the Sons of Calydon, and for Wise is quite literally his family. So it's kind of like them being the older brother wants to protect the younger sisters, clown to clown telepathy type shit, to get over the fact that they are going through the fucking ringer themselves, but they don't want to tell their younger sisters, because even though that yes, they could probably help, they as the older brothers don't want to burden them with whatever they're going through, because the younger sisters, especially for like Belle as a main protagonist and Wise as second assistant, is going through the fucking ringer. And for Caesar's case, like she's trying to like put the puzzle pieces back together, and it's like, oh guys, the outer ring is like not falling apart, and also I know I have to prove myself as the official king, even though I'm not technically the official king and stuff like that. You see what I mean? I also just really like seeing Lighterwise the most out of the entire human cast, non-biased opinion. Okay, we are all on the same page. According to Wikipedia, a long-distance romantic relationship is an intimate relationship between partners who are geographically separated from one another. Partners in long-distance relationships face geographic separation and lack of face-to-face contact. Long-distance relationships are particularly prevalent among college students, constituting 25% to 50% of all relationships. Now, isn't that like crazy? The next main story arc of Zenless Zone Zero, the main protagonist, are Persona 6. We're going back to college. Now Wise has to be in a long distance relationship with a Lighter because roscaelifer is supposed to be like a secret and shit. whoa, that's like so crazy. Off topic for like 5 seconds, but the opening cutscene of us entering roscaelifer kind of reminded me of like a YouTube short I would see from like Krista Eats, and it would be some shit like everything I ate my first day at roscaelifer. Did you know that roscaelifer's population is 60% bangbus? Like, look at these guys. Are they so cute? Like, this bangbu is literally as tall as me. Isn't that crazy? Oh my god. Anyways, first we had to make a caffeine stop, so we went to Couple Moment to see the Tin Master there, and the Tin Master here doesn't actually do coffee. He does tea, and his black tea is literally the best black tea I've ever had in my life. It was like a perfect blend of vanilla and orange, but like not too much of each. And right next to a Couple Moment is a Roaring Breckies, and this place is crazy. They have blind box pastry boxes. Look at this bamboo pastry that I got. Oh my god, isn't it so cute? And it's so flaky. Like, this must be what biting into a cloud must feel like. And I better not see any of y'all in the comments being like, no, I didn't feel like that at all. No, like when they were introducing all the new daily shit, that is how it felt. Dude, I was like Cynthia too. Dude, if I got a free blind box mystery box full of big bakery pastries every single day, oh my fucking god, I would lose my mind. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, that's right. Who wants to kiss at the lighter table? In concept, I understand why people don't write more long distance relationships, because in a fictional story like animes, video games, gacha games, even in fan fictions, a lot of people only bring up a long distance relationship in a fan fiction to only write cheating or NTR in the same tag description of their fan fiction, because it's pretty easy to write in NTR when the current couple, let's say Von Lycaon and Hung Arknights, are in a relationship, but they're obviously separated by a literal like being two different worlds apart. So it's hard to be keep up a relationship like that, and then Hugo swoops in and steals Von Lycaon's heart again, and Hung has no idea about this happening because Hung's got other things to do. Fan fiction aside, long distance relationships in fiction are usually not romantic and are usually with friends and family. Let's take, I don't know, Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, for example. Whenever he's calling up his mom, and Ash is in fuck who knows where, whole ass countries away from his mom, and his mom is just hanging out in Kanto, still at his house. He's like, oh wow, Ash, it's been like forever since, you know, you called me and stuff like that. But yeah, we're good here, you know, Mr. Mime and me, we're still taking care of the garden. Actually, Mr. Mime's been really playing Fortnite recently, and he's been showing me some like default moves, and it's like really cool and stuff like that. But I think that this is actually a hidden gem of a tag that has not been fully developed in concept outside of Von Lycaon being stolen by Hugo Vlad without Hung's acknowledgement. Let me paint you the picture, okay? So Wise and Belle are going to roscaelifer, also along with Billy and Cynthia, but they can't tell anybody because roscaelifer is like a super duper top secret thing, and people in New Eridu don't even know that this place even exists. Because I don't feel like adding a miscommunication arc in the first chapter of our supposed fanfiction here, I'm going to say that Wise does tell Lighter about roscaelifer and just clears up the room like, I'm gonna be gone, you know, Belle is going to be seeking treatment because like things happen and like she turned into ethereal and like shit got real scary right there and stuff like that. So me, her, Billy, Cynthia, we're all gonna be gone for who knows how long. You know, it could be 3.4, it could be like an entire year and we're still in roscaelifer, I don't know, who knows, but we're gonna be gone for a long time. And unlike that time when we were in China, it might have taken a couple of days to go from the outer ring over to Wi-Fi Peninsula, but like this is a whole fucking ordeal. Not only do I think that Lighter would keep this secret like an actual secret, like he wouldn't tell the Sons of Calydon about roscaelifer and where the proxy is, because I trust like Lucy and Caesar with that information. I don't really trust everybody else with that information, but at the same time, like, if Piper and Bernice were running around talking about how there's bang boos that are taller than Piper, like, would I really trust does that. Okay, Grandma, let's put you back to bed. And Poker, I wouldn't trust Poker with any information just because she would sell me out for like 5 Denny's. 62 cents. Yeah, no, hell no. Also, it would put his mind at peace knowing that Billy and Sissy are coming along with Wise and Bell up to Roscaelifer, and it's not just Wise and Bell by themselves alone. Like, I feel like Lighter would be pushing, fighting for his life if it was just Wise and Bell going up there alone with wannabe Crown and 4'11" blonde Grace Howard. This is where I believe a lot of our writing fan fictions would start branching paths, which is like the super artistic way to put it, the most beautiful thing about the long distance relationship tag, because there's so many interpretations that you could take this tag. Personally, if I were to actually commit to this fan fiction, I would write like a daily daily account, daily Lighter, dude, no way, daily life of Lighter, you know, hanging out with Sons of Calydon. Maybe there's some missions in the Hollows and some whatnot, and maybe hanging out with other agents sometimes. You know, the Kuro sushi situation's crazy. There's octopuses. People are getting naked. You know that. And then at the end of it all, or maybe even in the middle, I don't know, but like have a video chat call with like Wise, or like maybe like text him and be like, yo, Wise, like I miss you so much, man. Like life is so hard, but I know that my life is not as hard as you right now. Wise would be like, oh my god, Lighter, shit is crazy. It would be so much easier if you were here, but like, you know, but we got it, don't worry, you know, thumbs up. We got Uma Musume, we got Grace Howard, we got Crown, we got a lot of the other girlies, we got Seth's older brother. We're okay, but you know, the war with Remiel and Sunbringer, you know, it's gonna get crazy. I feel like Wise is the yapper and Lighter is the listener. Wise has got like a crazy fucking story wherever he goes, compared to Lighter, who's probably like the craziest thing he did that month is put on a maid outfit. All right, let's wrap this up. The last point that I like to make about long distance relationships, you know, adding with your Pookies having a long distance relationship in your fan fiction, is the climax of quite literally the climax of everything. If you do want it to make it, I mean, we're all here for the research, am I right? At least a good amount of you are, where you can write them having a very hard, intimate times with each other that night when they like see each other in face to face. You know, it could be really cute, you know, like embracing each other's arms. Oh my god, it's so good to see you. Finally, after like 6 months when you've been gone to college, finally get to see each other, and they kiss, and then like everyone's like, oh my god, no fucking way. Caesar's fuchoing out, oh my god, no fucking way. To preference, I've never been in a long distance relationship. I've never been in a relationship at all, actually. I've only been in a relationship with fictional characters, but I feel like in terms of fiction, it would make sense to just horny dump all of your ideas at the end of your long distance relationship fan fiction, because you know, like the characters have been like basically like physical edging themselves the entire way through, because they haven't seen their significant other in a long ass time. And in this case, let's just say like lighter-wise, you know, Wise goes up to Roscaelifer, you know, they do video talks, they do all these updates and stuff like that, and it does take like 6 months. You know, they finally get to see each other. It's like, oh my god, they can hang out for the day, basically like a borderline date, and then at the end of the day, it's getting crazy at night, and Belle's probably like, actually no, I feel like Lighter would take Wise back to the outer ring. Genius. Lighter would want to take Wise to the outer ring to sleep with him, because if they went back to random play to Wise's room, Belle is not getting an inch of sleep that night. So to give her like actual rest, we're gonna let her have random play, and it's gonna get nasty over at the Sons of Calydon. And you could have hints of spice in there, like to rev up the fan fiction and not have your entire research development just dump at the end of your fan fiction. Wise could leave his jacket with Lighter, and Lighter could do a little bit of sniffing, vice versa too. Lighter could give Wise his jacket. If you ever feel lonely here, wear this. If I was sponsored by a certain love Singaporean company, there's a lot of Bluetooth toys. You could use some of those if you like those type of tags. Video calls, I guess. Video call. How would you even write that?